I'm always worried when a housewife listens to the show because I'm like, I don't know what I say half the time. I just recorded my episode. And I'm like, I sometimes black out because I'm just recording for an hour. And I'm like,
oh my God. No, I'm lucky to be married to Rob because hip hop Rob, because he really helps me like remember that everything, it's a TV show, right? It's entertainment. So we listen to you and just like laugh.
Oh, thank you.
Like if you say anything bad about me, I'd laugh. It's so funny.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Crystal, let me introduce you and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. I'm here with one of the stars of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Crystal Kung Minkoff. Crystal, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks.
I'm so excited to chat with you. Are you feeling decompressed after the reunion?
Yes, but it only started this week because it finished airing. So even if you do it, it's not, it needs to finish airing. That's really when it's better. Yeah.
Have you heard anything yet? I know pickup letters usually come out shortly after the reunion. Have you heard anything about next season that you could tell me?
Last time it was very quick because we went into filming very quickly, but we are not right now. So everything is pushed. So that's what I'll say.
Okay. Do you have any insight as to when filming might begin?
It's going to be, I think, a few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the Lisa Rinna receipts? Because this has been a big thing on social media. She had like these 2 envelopes, and Andy had said it was about the Elton John fundraiser. And then she had posted on her social media that it was also something else. So was there like a bunch that was filmed about that just wasn't aired, or was it just?
Yeah, per usual, a lot. Yeah, a lot gets filmed without airing. I don't want to speak too much on, I will, but like, I feel like, I don't know why she won't just say what, she teases it a lot. She should say it because if she wants it out there, but, there were 2 envelopes. Yeah. So one was in regards to the charity event. And she had actually brought it out the very first day I filmed, and they cut it because it just had happened from Watch What Happens Live with Sutton. So it was like receipts, like physical, like actual receipts. And then the other one was just sort of a series of text messages with her and Kathy. But they never read it out. It was like Andy had it kind of like, because they were printed on, 8x11 paper. So he was kind of like shuffling through it, and he's like, oh, he's like kind of skimming it, and then it didn't really go any. So
yeah.
And we sort of get alluded to things, but then we don't really know.
Was there anything that you were disappointed that didn't air for the reunion?
There's always, it's okay. I don't know if it's the show, but I tend to block things out. I have a really bad memory when it comes to the show, when I film, even though it kind of recently happened. But I feel like what's hard is when it tends to just read negative, like, when we talked about the kids and stuff, like, I don't know. It's, I feel like it all toot my own horn, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, there's always stuff that you feel like gets missed out. And I think I'm more bummed that, like, talking about my ED and stuff like that, I didn't really get to have my story spoken out. It was more just me being in defense of other people speaking about it. So that was kind of strange.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It seemed there was so much, I feel like, cut out of the reunion, and Andy had said it could have been 4 parts, but then maybe people would have complained that it was too much. And I usually think 4 parts is too many, but it felt like there were a lot of things that we didn't get a lot of closure to, like the storyline with your eating disorder. And hopefully we'll get to see more of that play out and in the coming seasons. But I don't know if the audience would have been happy with 4. They think it's, so you never know, but I always feel like it's, I can't control that. So what happened with you and Kyle? I felt like we were missing a piece of the puzzle with you and Kyle, because it seemed like the 2 of you were at odds at the reunion, but were we missing something?
No, I would love to know too why she came for me. It made no sense to me. I just felt like everyone had their, they put a package out for each person, and then you sort of speak on it and have a discussion about like your own story. And then no one else was interrupted but mine, and she was the only one that did. So, I mean, I think the audience is smart. I think that they could read between the lines of, her tending to try to shut me down and not let me talk or express myself. So I just sort of had it at that point. I was like,
and so
sometimes,
you don't know why she was sort of coming for you so hard.
Some people just refuse. If I think that, I think that's why they aired it the third episode, when I said like, you won't understand unless you have gone through the experience. And I think that's what it is. It's like, she just has never gone through it, doesn't know what it's like to be in my shoes, nor is willing to sort of be open-minded about it. So if it doesn't make sense to her, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Have the two of you had any conversations since the reunion?
Well, I mean, so we saw each other at BravoCon, just a couple texts, but no.
The thing that was frustrating to me was that at the end of the reunion, Lisa Rinna was talking about the situation with Kathy and how traumatic it was. And the language she was using was so much. And yet they all had such an issue with the language you were using about the situation with Sutton. Did you find that to be a double standard? Was that frustrating to you to watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was frustrating for many people. My thing is that, I think majority of the women are very good in that, like, they are constantly inserting themselves. And I want to make sure, like, I was obviously, I sort of get agitated and I'm like feeling these things, I'm thinking these things. And I'm like, how are you guys allowing this to be said about someone else? And you just come for me for 2 years about something that I experienced, right? And that Sutton and I have both agreed upon, which is, that's even the most bizarre part. But, when you're sitting there and they're having these discussions, to sort of just insert myself, like, what about me, feels like it's sort of, then I'm going to take away from that conversation. And I don't want to do that, even though I'm feeling internally. So yeah, so it's hard to find moments that feel organic and that makes sense to respond. But of course, like I said, the audience is smart. They see it. So
yeah, we picked up on it.
Yeah.
I also think maybe this is a conspiracy theory that I have, but there was this moment at BravoCon with Erica and Dorit where Erica had said something throwing PK and Dorit's relationship under the bus. And I felt like that was planned or staged because, in my opinion, as a viewing audience, I think Dorit didn't really have a whole lot going on, understandably so in a lot of ways. But I can't imagine them bringing back Dorit full time next season. And so I thought it was kind of like a last ditch effort. And maybe that's me being fucking crazy. But I thought of it as like, I know they all seem to protect each other so much. And it felt like, oh, Erica was kind of throwing a bone. Now, I don't know that Erica knew exactly what she was going to say, but I thought it was like, oh, let me throw Dorit a bone. Did you feel that way, or am I nuts?
You're not nuts.
Okay.
But like, I think because you have a podcast like this, you dive deeper, and you sort of try to read between the lines and nuances. For me, if it was a year ago, I would have been like, why did she say that? And now I'm like, I wonder. So I'm trying to get smart to it. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me decline this call. I'm trying to get smarter to it. But I noticed that when she got, because I didn't see the show, I just saw that clip because I get pushed all the clips of our show. She kind of sat there. She's like, I don't want to say. And she was like getting nervous. He's like, any show. And then she like walked up there very confidently and then said it like that. So I was like, not so sure.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know what? Maybe that's a good friend. I don't know. Like,
yeah. On some level it is. Yeah. I think trying to help save someone's job in some ways. But it can be frustrating for the viewer, and I'm sure you see this, where it seems like there's this group of people on the show who seem to protect each other so much. And on some, like Angel and Devil, like the Angel says, yeah, they're friends. And so, of course, they have each other's back. But sometimes as a viewing audience, it's hard when we see the double standards, like we had mentioned the Lisa Rinna and the language she was using in terms of Kathy Hilton, and then how it's different for somebody who's sort of outside of that group. So I wonder, what's been your experience with the groupings on the show? Is it frustrating as a cast member, or Are you used to it?
Yeah. I mean, it takes time. I think the audience is savvy and they see it more quickly. And I kind of thought I would walk in and be like, I'm going to kill them with kindness. And like, that doesn't work. So I remember early, my first season, Garcelle said to me, and I think they aired it. It was a quick moment when we left La Quinta, the house. And she's like, you know, she said something like, don't you feel like they don't include us? And like, I was like, no, like, I just don't, I'm just naive like that. I'm like, no, they're including us. And that was her second season. And now that I'm at second season, I was like, oh no, I see it now. So it just sort of takes time, but yeah, it's hard not to notice that. I mean, so I think when she said that to me was she kind of felt like it was happening to us together. And so now I really see that. And in a way, it sort of bonded us, you know, Misa and Garcelle, of being like the outsiders, but I don't know. It's not a bad thing.
Talk to me about Hip Hop Rob. Now, we were talking before we started airing about where the nickname came from. And I want to know just how did you meet and how did the love story begin, if you will?
Okay. There's a lot of chatter about how we met because I will say, when I was announced on the show, there was another Crystal Kung who were pen pals, which is ironic. We became pen pals because she gets a lot of emails of mine and vice versa. But she's actually an animator, which is even more fascinating.
Oh, that's weird.
But her profile was on Google. And so our profiles got blended. And so my birthday became different. So people were like, oh, they met, you know, Rob and Crystal met, you know, when she was a lot younger than she says. I'm like, no, it's her. So her birthday is still attached to my name online, which is very annoying. Oh. But anyway, so when I was at UC Irvine, I was studying, I was a pre-med student, and I had some girlfriends. I grew up in LA. And so they said, drive back up to LA and go to this party. It's a friend's birthday party. So I went to this party in West Hollywood, and it happened to be Rob's studio, his animation studio. He was directing a movie at Disney, but he liked to be off campus. So he had his own offices, and he was throwing a birthday party for a friend. And I walked in, and he had this like gorgeous office and, you know, like really amazing. And he was playing the piano, and he was kind of like in the corner, like a loner. And I'm like, oh, like I didn't know anybody. So I just like hung out with him. And then we just chatted all night. And then he invited me to the Finding Nemo premiere the next weekend. I never been to premiere. And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. So he must just be so rich I mean, the two of you are together, but from The Lion King, I mean, come on.
Well, no, I mean, that's such a funny question. Look, we are rich with love and rich with joy from providing children and adults' happiness.
And money too. But I want to know, is there, does he have a keepsake? This might be a silly, stupid question, but I'm a huge animation junkie too. And I wonder, is there like a keepsake or something in the house? Like
Wait, lion? You want to see what I'm staring at?
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's original. They're everywhere. And look.
Yeah. See, I'm so fascinated by this. There used to be the show on Disney Plus called Prop Culture, and it was only one season. I loved it so much, but it was like this guy who would go around and look at all these classic movie props. And so I'm so fascinated. Oh, cool. I know Lion King was obviously animated, but I just...
but we have all the like you still need to create, you know, the physical part of it. So we have all those pieces. And Rob also directed Stuart Little. And it's incredible. It's in the basement, but it's like the model of Stuart on the plane that they actually use, and then they animate on top of the clay. So,
I love that. Do you have a favorite? I would love to. Do you have a favorite of one of his movies?
I mean, Lion King's obviously, you know.
Did he do Mr. Peabody?
Yeah, I love.
Okay, but wait, is he?
He looks like
Mr. Peabody.
No, wait. So Mr. Peabody is actually from Bullwinkle. They're characters from the 60s. Okay. So he brought that Classic Media owns it, and he brought it to DreamWorks. They ended up buying the whole catalog, but Bullwinkle. But ironically, it looks like Rob.
Yeah, because I saw that when I was doing my research, and I was like, man, that looks just like him. And I know he He worked on it.
Rob tends to write, not right. Well, he writes too, but he tends to direct movies that lean into like father-son stories. Mm-hmm. So Peabody and the Son, Stuart Little and his dad, Simba.
We got to get Rob on the podcast because I feel like I could ask him so many questions. I'm such a huge animation junkie.
He would do it anytime.
Okay, so let me get back to Housewives because people are going to yell at me. The 14 friends or this whole thing that played out, I guess it was announced on some other podcast. I saw it in a blog that what had happened was Bravo had asked some of these women to be on the show, and you said, you can't do that. That'll ruin your life. And then you joined the show. Can you clear up what happened? Was any of that true?
Yeah. So, I mean, sort of true. I had someone that I knew who wanted to do it, and I'm not getting into too much detail about her life, but, your family has to support you in it. Right. I mean, it's not just an individual choice. It's your kids, it's your family. And she wasn't having that support, and she wanted to know what she should do. And I said, if you're not going to be supported by your family, it's not a good thing to do it. And this was like 5 years ago. It was a long time ago. So then but she wasn't asked to do it yet. She was like doing interviews. So that part gets a little bit murky, but that's also a detail that's kind of irrelevant, even if she's asked or not. These are, everyone makes their own choices, right? Yeah. But that was my advice. And I would still give it to every single one of my friends. If their husbands, kids, moms says, don't do it, it's not good then I would say you should consider not doing it. And then when I got the call, I had mentioned it to her, and she was like, well, why is it okay? And I said, well, I have support. So, I hope you understand that. And she didn't. So that's what happens. But
was she someone that we would know? Is she, because a lot of the Beverly Hills women are, yeah.
No.
Okay.
But, I'm a really transparent person, and I consider myself a very good friend and very honest. And I'm not just going to yes people to death and whatever. And so, but I'm also like I have my own business. I'm really supportive in women in business. And I just was like, I was a little shocked that I wasn't supported, but then at the same time, when I think back now, I'm like, the signs are there. And so that's what happened. And so I mentioned it to Rinna. We had lunch after my first season, right after we wrapped, and she's like, how's it going? And I was like, well, this happened. And she was like, oh my God, like, get ready. It's like, it's going to continue, and people get triggered by whatever, not just this show, but like different businesses and stuff that you're doing. And then they brought it up on camera, and I was like, okay, this is how it works. And it was annoying because we couldn't dive into it because it was about the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were about to drop the bomb about something that was pertaining to the show, but then
you couldn't explain it.
I literally was like, you guys, it's about like, it sucks. Like, what are you guys doing?
Okay, wait. So the Kathy stuff, do you believe it? I left the reunion being like, oh yeah, she probably said all these things but maybe I missed something. Do you think she said any of that stuff?
So look, we all went to the club after, not everybody, but a bunch of us did. And it was, I'm the one that called the van. Like, she was pissed. I saw her pissed off or whatever. You can't hear anything. Literally, it's like the only person I could talk to was Rinna, who was next to me. And I was like, let me call the car. She's like, okay, like, let's go. So she and I were going to go and take Kathy home. But, okay, I'm just going to clear up how this happened. There's a whole thing about the coat or whatever. So when we all went, the production had like a security guard with us, because it was the whole cast essentially. Right. And when you go there, you have to check your coat. That's just their rules. And Rinna refused to give up the coat. I mean, she was like, this is a look and whatever. So she bulldozed her way into the door and had her coat on. So the security guy with us held onto our tickets. So he was like, so we didn't, whatever. Now I think like why, but he did. And so when I was calling the car, I was like, Rinna, take Kathy to the car. I'll meet you there. Let me get my coat. I literally could not find this dude. And then finally she's Rinna's texting me like, we got to go. Where are you? I was like, just go. I'm like, oh, and then I ended up staying for another hour and drinking, but that's all I really saw. And then we got on the plane and the next day, and I noticed that Kathy wasn't on the plane, but she didn't fly in with us either. She met us there and everyone seemed fine. So I don't know.
I was confused too, because wasn't Mauricio in the house, but he didn't seem to hear anything or notice anything.
Yeah. I mean, all these like theories I heard about, like, you have to remember, like, I'm only in my experience. I go back to like the other house. Like, I barely went to Kyle's house. We did that one night, the first night we were there, which was so awful that whole night. And then I don't remember going, oh, we just stopped there to go skiing. But like, other than that, we were always in our house. Me, Sutton, Garcelle, and Cherie. So like, I wasn't kind of putting all those things together of like, was someone else in the house? And like, I don't know.
Yeah. So do you think there was like, it was, the truth was somewhere in the middle of like, maybe,
isn't it always?
Yeah.
No, is it? Like, no, is it? So
I think the problem was it just felt like Rinna was trying to make a meal out of a snack in a lot of ways. And
that's what the show is. He talked about using the dark for 2 years. So it's not that surprising.
But I just wish with Beverly Hills, like I wish that instead of harping on one thing forever and ever, it's like, just tell us what happened. And like, then we can either move on from it or something. But it oftentimes feels like on Beverly Hills, it's like, there's this one thing and then we're just going to talk about it and tease it for 100 episodes. And that was a situation where you mentioned earlier with Rinna sort of teasing things. And it's like, that's what gets frustrating. It's like, let us know what happened. And maybe some of that was out of her control.
That's their style. Like, and I say they, like, anyone that does that, that's going to be their style. Like, you know, if we're saying like, we're done, like we're done talking about it. If they're not done talking about it, like, I don't know I mean, I guess I need to find a way to really try to shut things down or just, I don't know, but that's really on the individual. So I can see why it's frustrating and annoying to watch like something that's endless.
Is there anything else you want to clear up from the season about anything that happened on the show that you feel like was maybe confusing for the audience or you'd like to clarify?
It's so hard because when I watch, it's interesting watching the show back, you naturally fill in the gaps because you know what happened. And so I sort of relinquish whatever edit is out there as to what it is, because I know I go to bed feeling like I'm an honest person and I do my best to like be a good person and all that. But I'm still figuring it out as I watch, like it's like, but the audience is so smart. They show me things that I miss. But no, I mean, I just think the double standards stuff is just beyond annoying. And I didn't really realize it until now, like as hardcore it is. But now I can feel, now that I feel strongly about it, I have no fear about saying it, right? Where before I'm like, is it happening? And so I'm quiet about it. And people are like, oh, she's flip-flopping and she's this. I'm like, I don't want to make a statement until I feel confident in it, So now I'm like, okay, it's so obvious that I can't ignore it.
Yeah. And sometimes that's why it's best for Housewives to stick around for a few seasons, because they get their footing a little bit and then we get to see Housewives flourish. I think Garcelle had like an amazing season. I thought it was her best season yet. And I think that was her third season. So I sometimes think it just takes a little minute to get the footing. Who would you like to see gone next season? I feel like Dorit and Rinna are out. Am I wrong by that?
I'm going to let you say those things. Okay. I don't know. I mean, do I think that there are people who like have lost lost the reality of what's going on? Yes. Yeah. But
you're inferring Rinna.
No, I mean, like, by the way, Rinna is like I think she's just emotional. I don't like, there's a lot of like, I enjoy Rinna, like off camera, she's kind of like different, but then I see her on social and I'm like, what is?
I know. I feel this.
The hell? I get off social.
I know. I'm like, why isn't somebody just taking her off social? Because I do think Rinna adds a lot to the show oftentimes. This season, I feel like the plot was lost a little bit, but I think a lot of it is because of social media. And Andy said to her at the reunion, you're a disaster on social media. And I just wonder why no one is saying, like, just stop, take a step back.
I think they are. I think she probably has people around her saying it. Andy said it. The audience is saying it. But like I said, like, this is an individual thing. You can't, like, unless you ban social from like all cast members, like, people are going to do what they want to do. You know, I mean, that's what like Sutton and Garcelle and I always like talk about it. Like we let the show run and then we just sort of like live our lives, you know, like it is hard to watch and like experience and whatever, but like I choose not to engage in like that way. But, you know, some people just like, they feel they need to dig their heels in. And like I said, when you watch the edit, like I've relinquished that, whereas like she won't. And that's just a different personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any ex-housewives you would like to see come back? Should we give Denise and Big Dick Aaron another go? Should we give Camille back in there? Like, what should we do?
Look, I think that they're both like, I know Denise a little bit. I know Camille through another friend. She's the best friends with my friends. They both bring definitely a different element. You know, I don't know. Because it's like I don't know the girls who are going to return from this year, like what's their motivation next year. So if they're exactly this, that's the thing. People think like, oh, if you're exactly the same, like if Rinna is exactly the same she is now, bring in Denise, bring Camille. But like, what if she adjusts? And then what? Like, what's going to happen? So I think it's just a crapshoot. And I think that, you know, they're professionals at cast, so whatever they want. But I've always liked Eileen.
Oh, I like Eileen too. Do you know her at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I mean, we're like serious World Poker Tour fans, so maybe that's why, but she seems very balanced. And I tend towards that kind of person.
Yeah. I would also, I mean, the total opposite of that is Brandy, but I would like a Brandy return because she's a firecracker.
I'll tell you, people say like I would get along with Brandy. It doesn't seem like that on the show, my personality, but I like a little wildness. I think it's fun to like experience. Because I'm not super wild, so like I like to be around it. I think it's fun. She seems like wild.
The last two questions I ask all of my guests are your favorite Mariah Carey song, and if you were choosing for People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive, who would you choose? And you can't choose hip hop or rap; it's got to be somebody else.
So difficult then. I'm going to say with Mariah right now, it's her Christmas song because it just makes her billions of dollars. But I used to listen to a lot of Mariah. I would say Fantasy. Is that a weird call?
No, it's a great one.
Okay. And Hottest Man. Oh, okay. This is so weird and embarrassing that I can't even say it. It's too embarrassing.
You have to say it. Give me a hint.
Okay. I just flew home from Europe last week and I ended up watching Maverick. And I'm like, I literally kept texting Rob. I was like, Tom Cruise is a movie star. I'm just like, I don't get it. He's probably like comes up to my, elbow, whatever.
Always got the lifts in.
He does that brooding, like he'll look at you and I don't know.
To me, the hottest he's ever been was Jerry Maguire. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. And
right? Isn't that weird?
I watch it all the time and I'm like, man, he's still a good looking man, but I watched Jerry Maguire. I'm like, I don't know if anyone was hotter than him in that movie.
So hot. And I've always loved Pierce Brosnan. Like I feel like a 90s kid.
Crystal, this was so fun getting to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time. Also, you were an actor too. You were in a movie called Flypaper. Did you?
Okay, wait, hold on. No. I'm not an actor at all.
Okay, wait. Were you in movies?
Movies. Okay. And so when I travel with him and they need a stand-in, guess who like has to show up? Like fucking me. Yeah. So like, but what happens is like they have to give you a credit. They can't not give you credit. So like I have like the dumbest credits on IMDb now, but no, I am not an actor. And no, I own a coconut water company. That's what I do. People don't even know that.
We don't even see the coconut water on there. Why don't we see it on
We're
there?
actually like, I have the second largest company in the world, coconut water.
Wait, why don't they show it? Is it because they wanted a cut if they show it? Is that a thing?
They do not get a cut of it if I showed it. I'll just say that. No. I've owned it for 10 years. It's called Real Cocoa.
I drink real cocoa. I drink it. I make my smoothie every single day with your coconut water.
From Costco?
I don't know why I never put this together. Yeah, Costco.
That's my brand.
I never put this together. I literally have it every single day. Yeah.
Wait, what do you drink? You drink the what?
I drink
the 1 liter?
There's a smoothie from the Earth Bar that I used to get all the time. It was
$72.
Yeah, it was. I don't even remember what it was called. Maybe detox or something. Anyway, I get the frozen berry mix from Target. It's like pineapple, mango, strawberries, coconut water, vitamin B12 drops, and a vegan protein powder. I mix it all together.
I'm so happy.
It's like my go-go juice. That's what I drink oftentimes before I record my show.
I love that. Yeah. So my brother and I, my best friend, I went to high school with. We started it 11 years ago now. And we have 40 farms in Vietnam and Thailand. And but it's never talked about.
We need to see it on the show. We need to see some of this.
So I hope next year we get to talk about it. Yeah. But it's like, cause that's just,
we see the fucking agency every 5 seconds.
I mean, I'm going to start like placing it like across every room, just like wallpaper, but that's my thing. Like I host parties, I cook, I like that, like that's at my core who I am. And like, I try to show that on the show, like whether I do like a fancy party or like a dumpling making party, it's like, it's all encompassing. I just love people around and I love to entertain. So.
And that was a murder mystery party. It wasn't.
Yes, it wasn't just us standing in my basement, but I think because the Aspen stuff got really amped up and more like they didn't, so we had a whole party. This guy came in and did the mister, like I like died on the chair or whatever. It was like blood. And that's why people are like, why does the cake have blood all over it? I'm like, It was very thematic. I plan my parties very thoroughly. So it's weird when a party is edited and you're like, that makes no sense. And all the food that I served was like very specific to the 20s and the cocktail, like, but you did see a little bit of my coconut water in the background, but it's a little, we don't talk about it too much, but.
Do you like Erica Jane?
Yes.
I know I wrapped this, but I'm like, now I'm thinking I need to ask you about Erica Jane. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get to see different sides and like they get to see different sides of me too. So I just don't like, I mean, you saw that. I just sometimes don't understand her position in things. And I say it out loud, but I also drop it. I said my piece. Right. I don't understand it. And we can still move forward. Yeah. I will not drag it out for 3 years. So.
God, Crystal, what a delight talking to you. Tell Hip Hop Rob that if he needs a voice actor, I can just come in there and read one quick gay line reading.
Don't pigeonhole yourself to a gay line. You can be anything you want.
But I'm setting the bar low. It's like I just want to come in and do at least like one line, just say girl and then get out of there. And
girl.
I love a lead role too, but we're setting the sights low. Crystal, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for
having me. I'm going to go make my drink with your coconut water.
Get real.
Get real. Get real.
Get real.